Welcome to the deep dive, everybody. Today we're going to be exploring the often overlooked mathematical foundations of AI.
Oh.
We're not really talking about the latest self-driving cars or the newest chatbots that can write your term paper for you or anything like that. We're going deeper than that. We're talking about the core concepts, the fundamental ideas that make all of these AI applications even possible.
It's kind of like, you see this big huge tree and you're amazed by the branches and how complicated they are and everything, but really it's the roots that are giving it that strength and stability. It's what's underneath the surface.
Exactly. And to guide us on this journey, on this deep dive, we're going to be talking about a fascinating figure in AI that you might not have heard of. Alexey Chervonenkis. He's not exactly a household name, like some of the modern AI superstars, but his work is absolutely fundamental to the way that we think about machine learning today.
Yeah. The source material that we're going to be using for this deep dive is this article, very aptly titled, Alexey Chervonenkis, Pioneer of Statistical Learning in AI. And it's this great glimpse into this world where math reigns supreme and where seemingly abstract theories can have this profound impact on the AI that we use every day.
So this isn't your typical AI story. We're uncovering sort of a hidden genius here.
Yeah, absolutely. And to really appreciate his brilliance, I think we have to sort of, step back in time. We have to go back to the mid-20th century, to the world of Soviet science. And imagine a world with limited resources, global isolation, and yet this surprising hotbed of theoretical AI research.
So they were focused on theory. Why is that? Were they not interested in building, cool AI stuff?
Well, I mean, practical AI development requires a ton of computing power.
Right.
And that was something that the Soviet Union just couldn't afford at the time.
Right.
They turned their attention to the foundations, and they started asking these big questions, Can machines actually learn? How can we know that they're not just memorizing data?
Right. Because it's not enough for an AI to just pass a test or something.
Oh, yeah.
It needs to be able to handle new information that it's never seen before. It needs to be able to generalize.
Yeah, exactly. That's the challenge of generalization, right?
Yeah.
A model's ability to perform well on data it hasn't encountered during training. And Chervonenkis, along with his collaborator Vladimir Vapnik, developed this groundbreaking theory to address this very problem.
The Vapnik-Chervonenkis theory. I've heard of that. That's a little bit intimidating.
I understand. It sounds complex, but at its heart, the VC theory is all about finding that sweet spot, between a model's complexity and its ability to generalize.
Okay.
It's like finding the perfect balance between a brain that's smart enough to learn but not so complicated that it gets lost in the details.
So a more complex model isn't necessarily a better model. Sometimes simpler can be smarter.
Exactly. You can have a model that's so complex that essentially just memorizes the training data, right? And we call this overfitting, and this is a big problem because such a model, well, it won't be able to handle new, unseen data effectively.
Right. So how does the VC theory help us get around this trap, this overfitting trap?
Well, that's where the VC dimension comes in. This brilliant concept that lets us measure the complexity of a model.
Okay.
Think of it like a measure of a model's brain power. A higher VC dimension means a more complex model, but you could run into overfitting.
So it's like finding the right size brain for the job, right? Too small and it can't learn enough. Too big and it might just be overthinking it.
That's a great way to put it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. The VC dimension helps us find that sweet spot, right? Making sure that our AI is smart enough to learn the important patterns without getting bogged down by irrelevant details.
So the VC dimension is sort of a key to building AI that truly learns and doesn't just memorize. It's kind of mind-blowing to think that this seemingly abstract mathematical concept can have such a huge impact.
Yeah, and that's just the beginning of Chervonenkis' contributions.
Right.
He didn't just stop at the VC theory. He was also He was also deeply involved in developing this powerful machine learning algorithm called support vector machines, or SVMs.
SVMs, I've heard of that. Those are used in all sorts of applications, aren't they?
Yeah, they're everywhere.
Yeah.
From classifying images to predicting stock prices.
Yeah.
And the way that they work is deeply connected to this idea of the VC dimension and finding that perfect balance between complexity and generalization.
So Chervonenkis' work isn't just some, dusty old theory. It's the foundation for some of the most powerful AI tools that we have.
Absolutely, yeah. But before we dive into that fascinating world of SVMs, I think it's worth taking a moment to sort of appreciate the unique environment that shaped Chervonenkis' thinking.
Right.
Remember that he was working in the Soviet Union during a time of scientific isolation.
Right, this breeding ground for theoretical AI.
Exactly.
It's amazing to think about how those constraints led to such groundbreaking ideas.
Yeah, and it wasn't just the constraints. Chervonenkis was also fortunate enough to be trained at prestigious institutions like the Moscow Institute of Physics and Technology, known for its rigor and its emphasis on fundamental science.
So was this combination of external pressures and a nurturing intellectual environment that kind of shaped this hidden genius.
Exactly. And the result was this body of work that continues to have this profound impact on AI even decades later. But before we explore that impact, I think we should dive a bit deeper into the VC theory itself.
Okay.
And see how it works in practice.
All right, let's do it.
Sounds good.
Okay, so let's get back into this VC theory. You mentioned it plays a key role in support vector machines. Can you give us an idea of how that works?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Imagine you're trying to teach a machine to tell the difference between pictures of cats and dogs.
Right.
So you show it a bunch of pictures and you label them, cat or dog.
Right.
And you're hoping that it'll learn to recognize the patterns that distinguish the two.
Right. That's the classic machine learning problem.
Exactly. Yeah. And one way to tackle this is with support vector machines or SVMs. And think of an SVM as trying to draw a line that separates the cat pictures from the dog pictures.
So like a border between cat territory and dog territory.
That's a great analogy, yeah. But here's the catch, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes a straight line isn't enough to perfectly separate all the pictures.
Right.
You might have some tricky cases where, a cat looks a bit like a dog, or vice versa.
Yeah. Right. So what do you do then? Do you just draw a more complicated line? One that kind of wiggles and squiggles around to perfectly capture every single training example.
That's tempting, but remember our discussion about overfitting.
Right.
If we make the line too complex, it'll just memorize the exact positions of all the training pictures without actually learning the underlying patterns that truly distinguish the cats from the dogs.
It's like the student who memorizes all the answers instead of actually understanding the material.
Exactly.
So they might ace the practice test, but then they fail the real exam.
Exactly. And that's where the VC dimension comes in.
Okay.
It helps us find that sweet spot, a line that's complex enough to capture the essential differences between the cats and the dog, but not so complex that it starts fitting to random noise in the data.
So an SVM uses the VC dimension to find that optimal line, right? The one that's both accurate but also generalizes well to new data.
Yeah.
It's finding the Goldilocks line, not too simple, not too complex, just right.
Exactly. And the way it does this is actually quite elegant. SVMs try to find the line that maximizes the margin, the biggest gap between the cat pictures and the dog pictures.
Okay.
So imagine drawing the line so that it's as far away from the closest cat picture as it is from the closest dog picture.
Right. So the bigger the margin, the more confident we can be that the line is going to correctly classify a new picture that it's never seen before.
You got it. A larger margin means the model is less likely to be fooled by small variations or noisy data. Yeah. It's a sign of true learning, not just memorization.
This is making a lot more sense now. So the VC dimension is helping the SVM find that optimal line, the one that's both accurate but generalized as well. It's helping the SVM be both smart and wise.
That's a fantastic way to put it. Yeah. And thanks to this clever approach, SVMs powered by the VC dimension have become this incredibly popular and powerful tool in machine learning. You find them everywhere. From image recognition and spam filtering to even, medical diagnosis and financial forecasting.
Wow. It's incredible to think that something as seemingly abstract as the VC dimension can have such a huge impact in the real world.
Yeah, it really is it's a testament to the power of foundational research. Sometimes the most revolutionary ideas come from exploring the fundamental principles of a field.
So speaking of foundational research, our source mentioned that Chervonenkis wasn't just a one-trick pony. He made contributions to other areas beyond the VC theory and support vector machines.
Absolutely,
right?
Yeah. He was a true polymath. Mm-hmm. His work touched on a wide range of fields, including statistics, probability theory, and pattern recognition.
Okay, so those are some pretty technical terms. Can you break those down for us a little bit? What exactly did he contribute to these fields?
Sure. Let's start with statistics. Chervonenkis was deeply interested in the problem of drawing conclusions from real world data.
Okay.
But real world data is messy.
All right.
It's full of noise and errors and missing information. How can we be sure that our conclusions are reliable?
Yeah, it's like trying to find a needle in a haystack, right? You need the right tools and the right techniques to kind of separate the valuable information from all the irrelevant distractions.
Exactly. And Chervonenkis developed those tools. He made major contributions to a field called an empirical process theory. Mm-hmm. And this provides a rigorous mathematical framework for analyzing data and drawing reliable conclusions.
So he helped us separate the signal from the noise, right?
Yeah.
And making sure that our statistical analysis is grounded in solid mathematical principles.
That's a great way to put it. Yeah, his work in this area has had a huge impact on fields like machine learning, where we rely heavily on data to train our algorithms.
Right.
He essentially provided a way to build AI models on a solid statistical foundation, ensuring that they're not just making lucky guesses.
That makes sense. Now, what about pattern recognition? How did Chervonenkis contribute to that field?
Well, pattern recognition is all about finding meaningful patterns in data. Think about how you recognize a friend's face in a crowd, or how you can tell a handwritten letter A from a letter B. Mm. Our brains are incredibly good at pattern recognition.
Right.
But teaching machines to do the same thing, that's a whole other challenge.
Right.
And Chervonenkis made significant contributions to this field by developing methods to distinguish genuine patterns from random noise.
Okay.
He helped us answer the question, is this pattern real, or is it just a coincidence?
So it's like he gave us the tools to teach machines how to see patterns in the same way that we do.
Yeah.
And now they can recognize a cat from a dog or a fraudulent transaction from a legitimate one. It's like he gave machines a pair of glasses so they can see the world a little more clearly.
That's a great way to think about it. Yeah. His work on pattern recognition has had a huge impact on the development of AI systems that can analyze images, understand text, and make predictions based on complex data patterns.
It's amazing how these seemingly abstract mathematical concepts can have such concrete applications in the real world.
Right.
Chervonenkis' work might seem far removed from the flashy AI demos that we see today, but it's the foundation upon which all of those amazing technologies are built.
Yeah, it's like that famous quote: "The most profound technologies are those that disappear. They weave themselves into the fabric of everyday life until they are indistinguishable from it."
What?
Chervonenkis' contributions to statistics, probability theory, and pattern recognition have become so deeply embedded in AI that we almost take them for granted.
It makes you wonder what other kind of obscure research is being done today that will kind of shape the AI of tomorrow. Are there other kind of hidden geniuses out there whose work will revolutionize the field in ways that we can't even imagine yet?
That's a question that keeps me up at night. But before we get lost in speculation about the future, I think it's worth taking a moment to appreciate the broader impact of Chervonenkis' legacy.
Yeah, you're right. We've talked a lot about the technical aspects of his work, but what about the bigger picture? How has his thinking shaped the field of AI as a whole?
Yeah, so we've uncovered this incredible depth and breadth of Chervonenkis' work.
Yeah.
From the VC theory to his contributions to statistics and pattern recognition, it's pretty clear that his ideas are kind of woven into the very fabric of modern AI.
Yeah.
But his influence goes beyond just the technical stuff, right?
Yeah.
What about his broader legacy? How did he shape the way we think about AI as a field?
Well, Chervonenkis' legacy is a fascinating one. He was a strong advocate for the importance of mathematical rigor in AI. He really believed that truly understanding AI required a deep dive into the underlying mathematical principles.
Right.
Not just focusing on building, flashy applications.
It's like he was saying, don't just build the car, understand the engine too. It's about appreciating the beauty and the elegance of the math.
Yeah, that makes it all work.
Exactly. And this emphasis on mathematical foundations is perhaps even more relevant today than it was during Chervonenkis' time.
Right.
As AI becomes more powerful and more pervasive, we need to ensure that it's built on solid, trustworthy principles.
Right, because we're entrusting AI with more and more decisions, right? So we need to be confident that it's making those decisions in a way that we understand and that we can trust. And that trust comes from understanding the math.
Precisely. If we want to build AI systems that are reliable, that are fair, that are explainable,
right,
we need to be able to understand the mathematical reasoning behind their decisions. And Chervonenkis' work laid the groundwork for that understanding.
It's almost as if he was anticipating the challenges that we face today, with AI ethics and responsible AI development. His focus on mathematical rigor, it provides a pathway to building AI that we can trust and not just fear.
That's a great insight, yeah. Chervonenkis' work also has implications for how we approach AI research in education.
Right.
His story really highlights the importance of foundational research, of exploring the fundamental principles of the field, even if the practical applications aren't immediately obvious.
Right. It's a reminder that sometimes the most groundbreaking discoveries come from asking those big why questions.
Yeah.
Not just focusing on the how. It's about nurturing that curiosity and encouraging exploration of the unknown.
Absolutely. And Chervonenkis' own journey is a testament to that. Remember, he was working in a time and place where resources were limited and scientific collaboration was restricted.
Right.
But that didn't stop him from pursuing his intellectual curiosity
right.
and making groundbreaking contributions.
His story is a reminder that brilliant minds can flourish even in the most challenging of circumstances. And his work reminds us that true innovation often comes from those who dare to venture beyond the well-trodden paths.
Yeah, it's inspiring, isn't it? And speaking of inspiration, I think it's worth mentioning that Chervonenkis was known not only for his intellectual brilliance, but also for his warmth and his humility and his generosity as a mentor. He was deeply respected and loved by his colleagues and his students.
It's heartwarming to hear. It's a reminder that true genius is often accompanied by humility and kindness. It paints a picture of a man who was not only a brilliant scientist but also a wonderful human being.
By all accounts, he was.
Yeah.
And that makes his legacy all the more meaningful. You know.
Yeah.
He left behind not just these groundbreaking theories and algorithms, but also a spirit of intellectual curiosity,
right,
and collaboration, and a deep passion for understanding the world through the lens of mathematics.
It's a legacy that continues to inspire and guide us as we navigate this ever evolving world of AI. So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the key takeaway that you hope our listeners will remember about Alexey Chervonenkis?
I think the most important takeaway is this. Behind all the hype and all the excitement about AI, there's this world of beautiful, elegant mathematics that makes it all possible.
Yeah.
And at the heart of that world, we find pioneers like Alexey Chervonenkis, whose work laid the foundation for the AI revolution that we're experiencing today.
It's a reminder that progress in AI isn't just about building faster computers or writing, clever code. It's about understanding the fundamental principles of learning and reasoning and decision making.
Yeah.
And that's where Chervonenkis' legacy really shines brightest.
He showed us that the true progress in AI requires a deep appreciation for the power and the beauty of mathematics. He challenged us to think deeply, to ask those fundamental questions, and to never stop exploring the unknown.
So to our listeners, the next time you encounter an amazing AI application, take a moment to appreciate the unseen hands of those who came before.
Yeah.
Like Alexey Chervonenkis, the pioneers who laid the mathematical groundwork for it all. Their stories remind us that true innovation often comes from quiet corners, from those who dare to ask the big why questions and explore the fundamental principles that govern our world.
And who knows, maybe one of you listening will be inspired to follow in Chervonenkis' footsteps, to dive deep into the world of mathematics and AI, and make your own mark on the future of this incredible field.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the world of Alexey Chervonenkis. We hope you enjoyed this journey of discovery. Until next time, keep learning, keep exploring, and keep diving deep.